Hello everyone and welcome back to Communicado. So before we get into today's video, I really just want to say thank you very much to everybody who has subscribed and has been viewing my videos. You know my channel is new, but the fact that you're subscribing and that you're logging in to watch me and to take on board what I'm saying is really heartwarming and encourages me to keep going. Anxiety and public speaking. So there are all sorts of statistics out there that say, but on average, from what I've seen, 73% of people have a fear of public speaking. It also is known as glossophobia. So glossophobia is the fear of public speaking and presenting in front of one's peers or in front of an audience. There are many reasons that contribute to glossophobia, and some of them cannot and require more specialized treatment, i.e. via therapy, via cognitive behavioral therapies in particular, and that needs to be dealt with a subject matter specialist, a therapist. So let's start off with my first comment that I would say in relation to the fear of public speaking, which is the fact that you care. Let me put it this way. The fact that you have that anxiety and you're feeling slightly nervous, heart beating very fast, heavy breathing, sweaty palms, who knows what your outward symptoms could be. It means, and it's normally stemmed from a few things. One, it's because you care about what your audience is going to say and what your audience is thinking. Two, it's because you're too much in your own head and in your own thoughts. Three, it's also can be based on previous experiences. My way of dealing with my fear and anxiety in relation to public speaking is just to go and do it. My approach is always just throw yourself in the deep end and you learn how to swim. I do not advise that for everybody. It's what works for me and it's what keeps me going. I have a few talks that I'm going to be giving during the year this year, which I'm really excited about. Those will not be me necessarily throwing myself into the deep end, because for those I've had a lot of extensive practice now. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to practice. You still need to practice and you get better with time. What I would also say is we really need to stop caring so much about what other people think. Your fear of public speaking is because you care too much about what other people are going to think, what other people are going to say, what other people are going to believe. And I'm sure this has been said time and time again, that the fear of what other people are going to think and say is crippling. And it can be, because, take an academic, for example, or somebody who is in STEM research of some kind and is discovering the latest innovation. You may be quite introverted internally, which means that you're often in your own thoughts and you're often in your own head. To speak publicly, you need to voice what you are saying. It can't be in your own head, and it often means that you can't be observing too much what is going on around you, because that will also fuel the way in which you think that people perceive you, the way people think about you. You just need to stop caring. You need to stop caring. What I would suggest is, if you're somebody who is quite introverted, who is quite quiet generally, but knows that the knowledge that you have is an idea that needs to be shared and is an idea that the world needs, then start to dip your toe in the water. And how can you do that? So I would suggest you do that by firstly creating a mini environment in your own space that you're comfortable with. Have a camera in front of you, just like I'm doing right now. Have a camera in front of you and talk. Talk to yourself. And you need to get out of your own mind, out of your own thoughts, and really start to hear yourself. People will always have something to say. That's what they're there for. And actually, feedback is good. Constructive criticism and critique, note, I say constructive, criticism and critique is also good. You, as a speaker, need to be welcoming of that. You need to be coachable. So you need to want that as well. But if you're somebody who doesn't deal well with feedback, who doesn't deal well with constructive critique in order to help you improve, then don't go out there and engage in public speaking. Another reason that I would say why you need to embrace the fear of public speaking is you're thinking about the outcome, what's going to happen in the future. You can't live in the future because it hasn't happened. You shouldn't live in the past either because it's already happened. But for those of you who have had a negative experience when it comes to public speaking and you want to not relive that experience, well, what did you do when you had that experience? Did you take note, as in literally write down, this is how I felt at that time. This is what happened. This is what I think I could have done better. Have you given yourself the opportunity to process that negative experience? Did somebody come up to you after the talk or presentation and give you what was negative feedback, nasty feedback, horrible feedback? How did you process that? Did you internalize that? You see, what you'll come to realize with this is a lot of this is very psychological. It's not that you have a fear of public speaking, it's what happened and your mindset and your thinking process behind the fear and anxiety that inducing feelings that were created when you were public speaking. Another piece of advice that I would give is have some water. So those of you who saw the first video would have noticed that I had my trusty mug with some water in it. This time I've got hot water, but if you're somebody who knows that you're quite anxious, water is healing. I stand by it. I have no scientific proof or basis for it, but I know it's true. No, but all jokes aside, water is fantastic if you know how to use it properly. It's conducive and it's important because it enables you to cool down. I would recommend cold water. I drink hot water because I live in the UK and it's cold, okay? But otherwise, that's what I would recommend. The final thing that I would say when it comes to public speaking is I would urge you to go behind the root causes first. Really understand yourself and play to your own strengths. Don't think of public speaking in a way in which it's something that is daunting. Think of it as public speaking as something that, okay, this is an area that I have a weakness in. I'm going to work on this and I'm going to conquer this. You need to be proactive in the areas of where you know that it's a weakness of yours. And it's a real challenge that you need to bring to yourself. And that takes development, that takes grit, that takes courage. But you also realistically need to be willing to do that. We're going to come back next week and we're going to talk about this in a bit more depth because I really want to get into the crux of how to help you guys get yourselves in front of various audiences, present at work. Do not be that person that goes into a team meeting and doesn't say anything. And I'm not saying just talk for the sake of talking, because there are a lot of people that do that because they just want their voices to be heard. I'm talking about going into a meeting, saying something that is actually helpful, is going to propel whatever initiative it is that you're doing forward. I'll see you guys next week. Speak soon.